Welcome to another episode of the Granite List Live, where we explore all things human capital and employee benefits related. I'm your host, Sally Pace, and today we are joined by Tim Pratte, the new CEO of Selerix. So Tim, before we jump into what Selerix is and what awesome things you guys do you mind giving us a little bit about your background?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Sally. I'm excited to be here. So I spent nearly 30 years in the human capital space, mostly in the professional employer organization business, and worked for both small and large companies, and then had the recent opportunity to come to Selerix after spending 6 years with Prism HR, who's a leading technology provider in that PEO space, and excited to be leading Selerix here to the next level.
You're a veteran in the industry, and I'm certain folks are knocking on your door from time to time. What was it about the Selerix opportunity that interested you?
For me, it's always been about size and scope and reach. And that reach is really important. The PEO industry and the HCM space is really interesting because you can have this one-to-many relationship where you get to touch a product that affects so many lives. And at Prism HR, we were paying on our platform right around 2.5 million lives. And that was really interesting to me because we had an effect on the overall employee experience that people had. And now when I look at the benefits world, and benefits are becoming an increasingly more important part of that employee experience, we touch the lives of 14 million working adults in this country. So to have the ability to continue to produce a product that can simplify benefits was just too good to pass up.
And I want to dig into that a little bit because certainly Selerix is a company hold name. Employers across our country know exactly who Selerix is, but
That's right.
They may not all know the background and the history and the role that Selerix plays in Ben admin. Can you fill our viewers in on that?
Sure. That's a great question. So we've been in business for about 22 years. We're founded by a visionary in the space, Lyle Griffin. And Lyle was the real architect of this. And the first couple of customers that came on were carrier customers. And we started selling enterprise licenses to carriers. And these carriers started building on our platform and began enrolling individuals all over the country. That went on for several years, and then we began to sell into what we refer to as resellers. And these are typically benefit enrollment type companies that resell our technology. Through the years, that has now led to us starting to develop relationships with large enterprise direct customers who want to displace other benefit enrollment systems with our more holistic solution.
And tell us a little bit, now that you're at the helm, what are the opportunities you're seeing in the market for growth?
Oh my gosh, the opportunities we're seeing are tremendous. We've seen some tremendous opportunities for growth in the space, largely couched in what we can do from an artificial intelligence standpoint and the ways that we can layer AI into that benefit enrollment experience. As I mentioned, we touch 14 million employees a year, but there are so many more data points. So there are elements of big data where we can take all of that data and summarize it in certain ways in order to make recommendations to individuals. And then, of course, we're really working with LIMRA and the LDEC standards right now to ensure that benefit data can flow between companies. And this was really a project of our founder, Lyle, and I'm carrying the torch on this now to ensure that benefits data can move really seamlessly between both carriers and technology providers.
Go into that a little bit more. What is the value for an employer?
So the value for the employer really comes in the way that you can update rates more seamlessly. You can update benefit plans more seamlessly. So benefit plans change all the time. Different elements of those plans can change. And as they can change, now they can be populated through a standard set of APIs to the benefit enrollment companies, or depending on which type of Ben tech you're working with. If they've adopted those LDEC standards, you can grab that data in a very seamless way and update that data in real time.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is that helping an HR leader's job become easier, more efficient, the value add for them?
I think there's value add across the board. There's value add ultimately to the employer who's getting this information in a more timely basis, but it's also helping the relationship between the broker and the carrier as well connect on all of these items. So now you have real integrity in the data. You don't just have files going back and forth. You're using a standard set of APIs to connect that data so that it becomes almost error proof. And to the employer, that's really important because one benefits error can mean the world to that employee.
Absolutely.
And we want to avoid those errors and create a great employee experience.
Share with our audience a little bit about some of the differentiators that make Selerix unique.
First of all, the opportunity to have this enrollment tool in front of so many people and do so in a way that can allow for the complexity of benefits in all 50 states. Every state has a different benefit types, and we handle that complexity with the benefit types and with various plans in each state. As an example, the state of Washington now requires long-term care insurance, and other states are beginning to think about mandating this type of plan to employers and ultimately down to employees. Our platform can handle the complexity in enrolling that product with a number of carriers out there. Secondly, employee engagement is becoming really, really important to the employer. Employers want to not only just attract employees, but make sure they're retaining those employees. And in this world of the now deskless employee, where more and more people are remote, employers have to find a way to engage with those employees and educate those employees on all things that they're doing. So Selerix has today a engagement tool called Engage, and that engagement tool allows the employer to set up templates to communicate with employees, to survey their employees, both via text message and over email, and provide real communications that keep those employees in the loop every step of the way. So that employee engagement tool is being used by many employers around the country, and we're seeing employers take it and do a whole host of different things with it. But the platform is extraordinarily flexible to help those employers drive that engagement.
And you're certainly right about the landscape for employers has changed drastically over the past decade, certainly over the past 4 to 5 years. Thank you, COVID. And that remote workforce. So I suspect as you think about the future, it is very much about how to reach the person that's not necessarily in the office, that is not going to the training room or the one-on-one enrollments, but more this remote workforce. Can you share any product vision that you have for Selerix and how you're going to address that and other things as well?
So from a product perspective, I think, as I've already talked about the new LIMRA standards and making sure that we are leading the effort there is really important to us. And that's requiring a lot of product work to make those seamless integrations happen. That doesn't happen by just the push of a button. That takes a lot of product integration work. We're starting to layer in various components of artificial intelligence within our product to drive our decision support tools and ensure that employees are getting to the best products. It's my view that an employer has a real responsibility to employees to ensure their financial security in so many ways. So simplifying those benefits as best as possible through the use of not only just written communication, but videos and any other communication that might be helpful to educate that employee is going to help them make better decisions along the way. So that way employees are getting into the products that are really meaningful to them financially, and employers are driving a much better employee experience and hopefully retaining those employees a lot longer than they ordinarily would have.
Tim, you were definitely speaking our love language at the Granite List. And I'll tell you, a couple of stats that I ran across recently that are both frightening and also awesome because Selerix has an opportunity to do something with this last one. Only 16% of all U.S. adults are health literate. So there's a high gap in understanding health benefits. And 68% of employers that were surveyed in this particular survey said that they feel like their employees underutilize the plan offerings. And so I know Selerix has a high desire, high charge, now has you at the helm who's an exceptional communicator to really bring in or close that gap and help employers that are offering these solutions communicate in a way that helps the employee understand it so that they can adopt the appropriate benefits. And I love talking about using AI to appropriately guide people through the plan design. Thank you for sharing about Washington. I think that kind of leads me into another question, and that is, what trends are you seeing? Not just the mandated ones, any other trends that you're seeing in the benefits arena that Selerix will have their eye on?
Those are the big ones, but Sally, I totally agree with you. And I've seen this over 30 years where you have so many employees that just don't understand the products they're getting into. And even before you get to that point, employers know that they have to offer benefits, but they're not even clear sometimes on which benefits they're offering and what those total costs might entail. So by the time you get down to the employee level, many of those employees are illiterate. It feels like it takes a PhD today just to understand which benefits you're getting into, understanding out of pocket and deductibles and individual versus family and qualifying events. And it's a whole language in and of itself. And the more that we can simplify that down into digestible pieces so that employees can pick and choose the products that are going to be best for them and their family, the better off they're going to be and the better off their employer's going to be. So that education is really, really important. So the use of those communication tools, we're seeing communication become a really big trend in the space. That benefits communication. May was Mental Health Awareness Month. A number of our customers did a lot to talk about putting together various templates on how to improve mental health awareness and what they can do from just an employer and an employee perspective to drive better results there. But employees tend to then not use the benefits that they've been afforded. And that's another tragedy in this country, is that those employees know that they have something, but they don't know how to then go about using them. So it's important that we can educate those employees when, let's say, your son does go to a baseball game and gets hit with a bat or a baseball, that you have an accident policy that is going to pay out real dollars to help you offset some of the costs that you're going to have along the way. So knowing how to use those is just as important as enrolling in them. And I believe employers have a financial responsibility to educate their employees on that. And the more we can tool our system to help employers and employees understand the benefits that they've been afforded, I think the longer those employees will work for those employers, and it'll start to drive some of the employee attrition rates down a little bit.
Absolutely. I'm going to put you on the spot with this because I know you were just weeks into the new post, and Celerix had a big invitation only conference recently.
We did.
And so I'd love if you're willing to share with our audience what some of those aha moments were for you, because you got to interact face to face with your new customer audience. Were there any big takeaways for you personally?
Yes, there were a couple. We met with both carriers and resellers alike. And one of the big aha moments for me was the flexibility of the platform. So our platform can enroll a whole host of products. And you think about things like pet insurance as an example. Pet insurance is a really difficult product to enroll with certain benefit enrollment tools because you need to know the names and the breeds of various pets, and that can be difficult. It's amazing that our customers have taken the platform and been able to use it to serve so many employees across the country and implement so many different products. I'm also amazed at how quickly our team is able to respond to the changing needs of the benefits landscape here. As we talked about in Washington, being able to enroll those types of plans is really, really key. And for our teams, our product teams, and our technical teams to be able to pivot to help the carriers enroll on such innovative products and meet the regulatory requirements is really important. The other thing that came up is the Affordable Care Act continues to play a pretty big role for employers. And I think carriers and brokers and everyone is thinking about this if you are employing individuals, because it's a regulation that's not going away anytime soon. And the filing is complicated. We have a very well-educated team in the Affordable Care Act, and we do, I don't even have the stats, but thousands of filings. And that's a piece that is really making it easier for employers to do business, to not have to worry about the potential fines that come with that, because those ACA files are done so quickly and easily through our platform. So the carriers seem to be pretty pleased with everything that we can do on our platform. Obviously, you don't get into a conference like that without certain product requests. And all carriers have different requests, and it was fun to interact and understand how we can start to bucket these requests to make sure that we're working on the product items that are going to be really impactful for their use in the future and able to enroll more folks down the road.
Awesome. Well, I know I speak on behalf of the entire Celerix team that they are thrilled that you are now at the helm. there was a lot of excitement around that announcement. So Tim, we're thrilled for the partnership between Selerix and the Granite List, and it has been great having you on the show today. I want to thank you for your time, and thank you to our audience for tuning in to another episode of the Granite List Live.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Granite List Live. Access our entire library by visiting your favorite podcast venue or subscribe on our site, thegranitelist.live.